Good morning to all and welcome to the session. The Hindu Editorial Analysis for Proficiency in English. Today's editorial is all about climate change promises, especially the promises made by the Prime Minister and the feasibility, to what extent they are feasible, and to make these promises real, to make them come true. What is required, the limitations. If at all the promises come true, then India is going to be a beacon. It is going to be a role model. Other countries can definitely learn something from India. An important editorial. You're going to learn not too many words, only about 9 words I could get. Many of these words, except one or two, are familiar words. What are these words? Pledge, outrun, ambitious, Sherpa, peak, lag behind. So these words are not that difficult. Before, excuse me, you're going to work on important exam questions based on exam topics. Before we go to the editorial, I would like to show today, based on exam topics, the practice questions you're going to work on error location, not easy. Fillers, new pattern. You see three blanks and three words not in the correct order. You have to get the correct order and find out the correct option. And also para jumble. Phrasal verbs, again a new exercise, very useful. Idioms as usual and editorial words. Now let us go to the editorial. This editorial is all about climate change, impact of climate change, based on that commitments, especially Indian point of view, pledge. So how does it start? Climate pledge. There is one important word, pledge. Pledge means commit by a solemn promise. Solemn means formal. Commit by a solemn promise. Pledge. Pledge has got many meanings. One, in this context, it means commit by a solemn promise. Usual meaning, pledge the gold, pledge your gold, pledge property, a different meaning altogether. So, climate pledge means what? Climate commitment related to climate, whatever is required. Now, what is the main idea of this editorial? Nations must realize they are not in a competitive race, but trying to outrun the clock. This talks about the nations, they are not in a competitive race, but they have to remember they are trying to outrun the clock. The word outrun has got two different meanings. One is you can easily make out run or travel faster or further than, run faster than someone else or further than someone else, one meaning. What is the other meaning of outrun? Outrun means something like escape or ignore or go against. So, in this context, the second meaning goes it is like you are trying to outrun the clock based on the commitments. As I said, this editorial talks about India's commitment in relation to climate change and also to what extent the promises are practical or feasible. If at all they come true, then India is going to be a beacon. That means a light to other countries. India can be a role model when it comes to climate change or mitigating the impact of climate change. How does it start? In a surprise move at COP26 in Glasgow, Prime Minister Narendra Modi announced that India will commit to ambitious enhanced climate targets and cuts in carbon emissions in its nationally determined contributions or NDCs. So this starts with India's commitment, the statement given by the Prime Minister Mr. Modi. In a surprise move, here this is a phrase. Today, this is a bit complicated editorial. It is related to climate change, environment, a little background information is required. I will try to explain, but at the same time, I'll focus on grammar part. In a surprise move, this is a phrase, an important phrase. In an unexpected move, in a surprise move, remember the phrase. At COP26 in Glasgow, Prime Minister Narendra Modi announced it talks about the context already happened, announced it is in past form. Sentence is in past tense. Announced what? Usually we use the word that. Announced that India will commit, it is future tense. It talks about future. India will commit to ambitious. You're all ambitious youth. I always use this expression. The youngsters, especially those who are preparing for competitive exams, ambitious youth. What is the meaning of the word ambitious? Having or showing a strong desire and determination to succeed. You guys work day in and day out, around the clock, to achieve success. Based on that, you have an ambition, you have a target, you have a goal, and I can use the expression ambitious youth. So here he talks about India will commit to ambitious, enhanced. There's another word, enhanced. Enhanced means what? Improve, enrich. Ambitious, enhanced climate targets, and cuts in means reduces carbon emissions in its nationally determined contributions (NDCs). At the outset, it talks about India's commitment. As I said, this editorial is all about India's promises, India's commitment related to climate change, and also to what extent it is possible, what are the limitations, and if at all these commitments, these promises come true, India is going to be a role model and it is going to be a beacon to the entire world, especially the developed countries. Now, again, about the promises. There were promises to increase non fossil fuel energy capacity to 500 gigawatts, meet 50% energy from renewable energy, reduce emissions by 1 billion tons, and bring down the economy's carbon intensity below 45%, all by 2030. We are in 2021, 2030. That means not even a decade, not even 10 years, about 9 years down the line. 9 years down the line, India has promised it is going to accomplish all these things. These are the goals, promises. All these I will list out. Then the editor talks about what are the limitations to make these promises a real. There were promises to increase. Generally, when we talk about climate change, we talk about the impact. Today, climate change and global warming, greenhouse gases, all because of fossil fuels. Fossil fuels, we have petrol, all these. We also use a term conventional sources of energy or non renewable sources of energy. So it is going to increase non-fossil fuel energy. Today we focus on fossil fuels; they are limited. We are going to exhaust these resources, and they are not good for the climate. So today the focus is on non-fossil fuel. We also use the expression renewable sources of energy or non-conventional sources of energy. There were promises to increase non-fossil fuel energy capacity to 500 gigawatts, first goal, first promise, meet 50% energy from renewable energy. This is also a very good promise, very good goal, very good target. 50% energy requirement from renewable energy. And today we talk about renewable energy or non conventional sources of energy. We talk about solar energy, wind energy, tidal energy, biofuels, all these. Reduce emissions by 1 billion tons, another promise, and bring down the economy's carbon intensity below 45%, and all these promises by 2030. Look at the year. Finally, and one more aspect the editorial talks about India's commitment. Till now, till the recent past, India did not commit related to net zero emissions, but now there has been a commitment. Finally, the Prime Minister made the much awaited declaration regarding the commitment. What is that? To reach net zero emissions by 2070. 2030 certain goals and to reach net zero emissions, the commitment 2070. Finally, people, the different countries, they have been waiting for India's commitment, the statement, the declaration. Finally, the Prime Minister made the much awaited declaration to reach net zero emissions by 2070. The announcement came as a surprise. Editorial says this announcement, this commitment that India is going to achieve or India has committed is going to commit to net zero emissions by 2070. This announcement came as a surprise. Why is it a surprise? Given that India had given no assurances to visiting Western climate negotiators, I think in the past, a few Western climate negotiators visited the country. That time, India did not give any assurances before the conference and had not filed updated NDCs by deadline last month. Two dimensions, based on these two dimensions, this announcement, commitment of net zero emissions by 2070, came as a surprise. One dimension, when the Western climate negotiators visited India before the conference, India did not made had not given any assurances. One. Second, climate negotiators before the conference, and the second one had not filed updated NDCs by the deadline last month. Earlier, the G20 summit in Rome ended without any new commitments on climate change. Again, this talks about past, what happened in the past. Earlier, the G20 summit in Rome ended without any new commitments on climate change. And India's G20 Sherpa, there's one important word. Sherpas, the word Sherpa goes with the Himalayans, the Himalayan mountain range, and usually they help the mountaineers in taking them in the ascent as well as a descent. But it has got another meaning. The second meaning of the word Sherpa is completely different. What is the second meaning of the word Sherpa? It means a civil servant or diplomat who undertakes preparatory work prior to a summit conference. Imagine there's a conference. Before the conference, the IAS officers or IFS officers or the bureaucrats, they do the homework. And the person, a civil servant or diplomat who undertakes preparatory work prior to a summit conference. We use the word Sherpa. This is a new word you got to remember. And Minister Piyush Goyal had said that India could not identify a year for ending net carbon emissions, ensuring carbon dioxide emissions are absorbed by the use of technology and lowering output. Unless India did not commit, and the reason for that, unless the developed world committed to funding India's energy transition and enabled clean technology transfers on a much higher scale. There was a condition for the commitment, net zero emissions commitment. Now India has committed 2070, but before commitment there was a condition. What was the condition? India wanted the developed world to fund India's energy transition. It is not easy to, when it comes to transition from the regular, traditional or conventional sources of energy to non-conventional sources of energy, not easy. Green technology, you got to spend a lot of money. One thing, a lot of money is required. The second factor, technology transfer, know-how, that is also very important. So the condition, unless the developed world committed to funding India's energy transition and enabled clean technology transfers on a much higher scale. Lower scale, it is not possible. Higher scale, India wanted. Mr. Goyal even suggested that India could not switch to non-fossil fuel and end coal-based thermal plants unless it was made a member of the nuclear suppliers group, where it is being blocked by China and a number of other countries. Another dimension when it comes to commitment, why India did not commit. One reason, they wanted the developed countries to fund and also provide the know-how related to clean technologies. And the second factor, Mr. Goyal even suggested that India could not switch to non-fossil fuel and end coal-based thermal plants. All these are conventional sources of energy, unless it was made a member of the nuclear suppliers group. India wanted the membership in nuclear suppliers group, but that is being blocked. Where it is being blocked, this is in present continuous passive voice by China and a number of other countries. China and a number of other countries, they are trying to block India's entry into nuclear suppliers group. Now it talks about Mr. Modi's pledges and to what extent any editorial. First, there are two parts. First part talks about the problem, the background information. If at all a problem, obviously they have to talk about the solution. The second part of the editorial talks about what exactly promised and the feasibility, limitations, and how to achieve or make them real. Mr. Modi's pledges in 2021 will require an almost immediate shift in the government's priorities if it wishes to meet its first few goals in just 8 years. The time 2030 means 8 to 9 years. So to meet those goals, there should be shift in priorities. The sentence talks about the government has to shift the priorities. Mr. Modi's pledges in 2021 will require what is required to make these promises real. an almost immediate shift in the government's priorities if it wishes to meet its first few goals in just 8 years. Now, based on one estimate, to what extent it is feasible and how long does it take, the editorial talks about that. According to one estimate, the Center for Science and Environment, this is an organization Delhi based, and it is like a watchdog when it comes to environment related activities. According to one estimate, the source, the Center for Science and Environment, the promise to reduce emissions by 1 billion tons would need a reduction in India's carbon output by a massive 22% by 2030. To meet that goal, they have to reduce India's carbon output by a massive, means large scale, 22% by 2030. When it comes to net zero commitment by 2070, on the net zero, the target of 2070 is 2 decades after the global goal at mid century. The global goal is 2050. India's goal 2070. There is a difference of 2 decades. On net zero, the target of 2070 is 2 decades after the global goal at mid century and would require the world's other growing economies, including China, to peak emissions, preferably by 2030 itself. They have to meet the commitments by 2030 itself. Only then it is going to happen. It is going to be a reality. India meets about 12% of its electricity needs through renewable energy. Renewable energy and non-conventional sources of energy both mean the same. India meets about 12% of its electricity needs through renewable energy, and ramping that up, already have got to ramp up, increase the level or amount something sharply. Usually ramp up goes with production. In this context also increase to 50%. Present it is 12% use of renewable energy, and editorial says it has to ramp up this to 50% by 2030, and doing that will be a tall ask too. Generally, we use the expression, the idiomatic expression, tall order, tall ask, tall order. Here you can see both mean the same. A request that is difficult to fulfill. It is a tall order, means it is something very difficult to do within the stipulated time period. If the government realizes Mr. Modi's promises in Glasgow, if at all these promises the government realizes, that means these promises come true. If the government realizes Mr. Modi's promises in Glasgow, India will be a global beacon. This is an important word. What does it mean? We have got this for the first time. Usually it goes with coastal cities or coastal towns, lighthouse, that is a context. But here it has got a different meaning altogether. A guiding or warning signal as a light or fire, especially one in an elevated position on the top of a hill. But in this context it means if at all these promises they come true, India is going to be a global beacon. It is going to show the path, the light to the world, and it can be a role model. India will be a global beacon in fighting climate change and ensuring sustainable development. Today, we all talk about sustainable development. That means what? Using the resources wisely, thinking of the future generations. At the least, it is hoped the commitments will inspire other countries to keep their word. So, this commitment is something very good on the commitment taken by India. At the least, it is hoped the commitments will inspire other countries to keep their word, particularly the developed world that has lagged behind in fulfilling combined promises of billions of dollars to fund emerging economies. There is one word over here, lag behind. We have got many a time to move or happen at a slower pace than someone or something else. In a race, someone is in the front, someone is somewhere in the middle. Then we use he is lagging behind that particular person. So, particularly the developed world that has lagged behind in fulfilling combined promises. The developed world has given some promises, but they're lagging behind in fulfilling combined promises of billions of dollars to fund emerging economies, LDCs, and the most climate vulnerable countries in the global south. They promised a lot, but when it comes to fulfilling the promises, they're lagging behind. They means a developed world, developed countries. How does the editorial end? When it comes to climate change, countries must remember the same idea being reiterated. When it comes to climate change, countries must remember they are not in competition with one another. One another grammar point of view, very important. Two persons are two things we use. The reciprocal pronoun each other. More than two, we use one another. But they should remember they're not in competition with one another, but trying together to outrun the clock. That is not very practical. It ends on that particular note. An important editorial, and definitely when it comes to the descriptive paper, there will be one question at least related to environment. And environment is a concept where so many dimensions are there related to air pollution, global warming, greenhouse gases, related to deforestation, loss of habitat, extinction of species. So many are there. The menace of plastic. Every topic you have to have the basic information. Only then you will be able to write an effective essay. Now let us see what are the possible questions based on this editorial. What is this editorial about? I strongly recommend. Please write about this editorial, though not easy, but that helps when it comes to either prelims or mains. Definitely, they may give a passage related to climate change. Chances are very bright. Already have the information, then it becomes easy for you to read quickly, comprehend, and answer the questions. Nations must realize what? The editorial says all the nations must realize something. What is that? You have to write. When will India reach net zero emissions? You have to mention the year, and it is not that difficult. What will Mr. Modi's pledges in 2021 require? So many pledges, and to make these pledges, make them true. What is required? Again, you have to list out. When will India be a global beacon in fighting climate change? Again, easy to answer based on the key words global beacon in fighting climate change. A very good question, in fact. Now, let us go to uh, based on practice questions based on exam, very enriching editorial. I do agree, an important editorial, enriching editorial, and it is important prelims point of view, mains point of view, and the descriptive paper point of view. Practice questions based on exam topics. Today you're going to work on errors, not that easy at the outset, and fillers, a new pattern, three blanks, three words you have to choose in the correct order, para jumble, phrasal verbs, again a new exercise, idioms as usual, editorial words. And here, don't consider editorial words. If you take each one five, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 25. You should get 20 plus. That is pretty good. You should be very happy. Now read the first one, error location, and try to spot the error. You got to read meticulously. At the outset, I would like to caution lengthy sentence from the newspaper, not easy to understand immediately. Those some students have written the answers. That's very good. I appreciate. No one has responded the first one. Yashashvi is the first one to respond. Let others also respond. Then I will say whether it is right or wrong. Unless Monday, India was the only major emitter. Why only one student has responded? After that, I see Shruti, Deep Thinker, yes, Ramesh, all these. Here, a question like this, save your time. You don't have to go beyond the first part. No point in reading the complete sentence. You can save a few seconds. But to understand the context, you got to read. Unless Monday, India was the only major emitter. That does not make any sense whatsoever. Then you have to think of the right word. What is the correct word over here? Unless is not correct, it should be until. Until Monday, until single L, until Monday, India was the only major emitter that had not committed to a timeline to achieve net zero. Now, India has committed 2070, or a year by which it would ensure its net carbon dioxide emissions would be zero. So, what is this about? Inappropriate, inappropriate word. This is not the right word to be used over here. Inappropriate word. Until. And students ask, sir, what is the difference between until and till? Both mean the same. There's no difference whatsoever. Until goes with written English, till goes with conversational English. And they also ask, they get confused in different competitive exams. They have given questions based on until, unless. Unless, until, till they talk about time. Unless talks about a condition. That is a difference. Unless you work hard. So unless it talks about a condition. Until, till they talk about time aspect. Please go to question number 2. Again, a lengthy sentence. You got to read very carefully. The Supreme Court on Monday said a blanket ban on firecrackers may not be possible, but measures ought to be in place to prevent the using of toxic chemicals in firecrackers. A lengthy sentence. Yes, that is right, Tirupati Rao. Exactly. That's what I have written. Third part, who is this? Das says, question number 2, third part. I think some students have got it right. You have to speak a lot, very simple, Satish. Keep on speaking, then you can improve your communication skills. Here, the Supreme Court on Monday said, reporting verb, a blanket ban on firecrackers may not be possible. They should have used might not be, but this is from the Hindu paper, we can't help it. That is not the error. Only one error you have to spot. May not be possible, but measures ought to be in place to prevent the using of, this is not correct, the use of, not usage, the use of, that is right. Tirupati Rao, yes, use of Varaprasad and some more Lakshman. Using is not correct, use of toxic chemicals in firecrackers. So this is again based on word forms, right word but not the right form. Using is not the form you have to use. Use of, it's a standard expression. The use of something, the use of chemicals, the use of plastic, the use of whatever it is. Question is based on word forms. Some questions are based on contextual awareness, exposure to the language, and reading habit. A few questions are based on grammar rules. Any question based on grammar rules is easy. Any question based on contextual awareness difficult. There is also a lengthy sentence. Prime Minister Narendra Modi and his British counterpart, an important word, Boris Johnson on Monday discussed about the evolving situation in Afghanistan on the sidelines of the COP26 summit in Glasgow. Yes, there is one verb here discussed. There are five verbs. You have to recollect all the five. After these five verbs, we should not use any preposition. What are the five verbs? One is discuss, about, not correct. Order, for, not correct. Inform, to, not correct. And stress on, not correct. Attack, against, not correct. All the five very important. You have to recollect and remember. They are scared to sell. Read this one. No, using is not correct. That is a mistake. That is the error, Uday Kumar. Using is not the right form. Use of. Without of, you mean. No, no. In that context, it should be use of. What is the answer? No one has responded. This is not an easy one. You can see the star mark, but at least you can make out. Yes, many students could make out There is an error in the second part. It is not possible to guess the word. Delicate is not correct. The right word is decoy. 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 Decoy operations means what? It goes with police. It goes with crime, the field of crime. Decoy means you use someone or something just to lure or attract the criminal so that you can catch him easily. So it is called decoy operations. Not easy to guess the word, but do remember this is an important word. Question of the day, exactly. Now, this looks like a paragraph. Please go to question number 5. Following the sudden death of 46-year-old Kannada actor Puneet Rajkumar due to cardiac arrest, there seemed to be panic among people, especially youngsters, who are now rushing to hospitals for a cardiac evaluation. Check. Please go to question number 5. Again, not that difficult. One reading you should be able to. Very good. Here, there seem is not correct. It seems, there seems. Here the subject is third person singular. The sentence is in present tense affirmative. Then we should add s or es to the verb. Based on that, there seems. Usually we say it seems. There seems. There seems to be some situation. It seems something. We have to use. We have to use the verb with s or es. And do remember this is related to subject verb agreement. This is Filler's new pattern. You got to read very carefully. First, you listen to the instructions. You see a sentence with the three blanks, and there are options, three words. These are the three words, may or may not. Fourth option, none. But these words, if you think they are the correct words, they are not in the correct order options. Only one option has a correct order. Which one is that? You have to. That is good. That's very good. Five, all the five correct. Highly appreciable. Nagamaleshwari, Preetham. Three also good enough. Please go to. A lot of students say age no matters. A lot of people, students say third option. In the absence of an, but here you have effected, agile. Let us see. Based on that, you can reject the first option quickly. In the absence of an effected press, it has not been possible to fathom the intensity and changes agile that does not make any sense. In the absence of an agile press, agile means quick, very fast. It hasn't been possible to fathom, means understand the depth of something, the intensity of protest against the existing order, and whether they constitute a rejection of the changes effected. Rejection of the changes effected. Answer is the third option. Very good. I appreciate that. Now go to question number 2 based on this new pattern. Fathom means when it comes to measuring the depth of water, we use the word fathom. It is equivalent to a few feet. One meaning. Fathom also means to understand. Fathom the depth, fathom something means understand, grasp, comprehend. Question number 2, second option. The complexity and scale of the water. Galvanize is a verb. We need water. We need the noun. Crisis, configurations. Water configurations does not make any sense. Let us go with the second option. The complexity and scale of water crisis in India calls for a locus specific response. Number three, no, it is not buffering. I think so. Looks like, please wait for a few seconds. No, 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 I got it. I got it. It should not happen. Wait for a few seconds. It is okay. There's no problem now. No, only for a few seconds. Now there is no problem. Only a few seconds. I know, I know. Thank you. Please go to question number three. 3-1, exactly. Their perspectives and lived experiences of fighting caste oppression are the best safeguards to ensure that the collected data will be used for liberatory purposes. Liberation, liberate, freedom. Answer is the first option. You don't have to worry about the other options. This is not easy. You got to read very carefully. Only then you can answer. What is the answer? Fourth one. While the Paris Agreement, second option, very good. While the Paris Agreement laid out, laid, to put something down, laid out what? Framework for international action. The rule book will set this agreement in motion by laying out how, by doing something, by laying out the tools and processes to enable it is implemented fairly and properly. Answer is the second one. Good, very good. In a world where central banks create a lot of money out of thin, fifth one should not be that difficult. Fairly, yes. Fair also means a perfectly, properly, in a just manner. Third option, in a world where central banks create a lot of money out of thin air, it is natural for investors who are looking to protect their wealth to seek abode in alternative assets whose supply cannot be cranked. Answer is the third option. Very good. Para jumble, read very carefully. Try to take elimination approach. These workers cannot be the first one, and cannot be the first one. Those cannot be the first one. Now you have to decide. ABC cannot be the first sentence. When it comes to para jumble, do remember at the outset, take elimination approach and try to get the first sentence. Then everything falls in place. Abode means the place where you live. Abode of Lord Shiva, Kailash. So the home, abode means home. In this context, abode means the place where you can have your money safe. Fillers easy, huh? Good. It shows your standards. That's good. Habitat, you can say. Home, you can say. 4 out of 5, good. Rather easy, not that difficult. 1E, no, not correct. 1 is not E. No, 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 no. 1 is not E. You guys have the same wavelength. That really surprises me. You don't see one another. In spite of that, almost all the students choose one particular option. It shows that same wavelength. Unfortunately, that is not the first one. D is the first one. What is the first one here? D. Women account for 39% of migrant workers in the GCC, International Labour Organization 2017. D is the first one. Very good. I appreciate those who have got D, the first one. Women account for 39% of migrant workers in the GCC. What is the second one? One student chooses a particular option, all the students, that how does it happen? E is not the second one. No, no. How can it be the second one? No. D is the first one. It talks about women account for 39, almost 40% of migrant workers. That talks about what? Feminization of the workforce across multiple sectors demonstrates a growing trend. And second one is a B. Very good. Chandu has got it right. Only one student so far. D, B. Women account for 39% of migrant workers in the GCC. And the feminization, this talks about the feminization of the workforce across multiple sectors of the economy demonstrates a growing trend. D, B, one pair. Yes, D, B. Now it becomes easy, it should not be that difficult. What is the third one? Identify the pairs, related sentences. D, B, one pair. After that, you have one more pair. FC. Women migrants who are in the skilled category are mainly nurses in the organized health industry. Those in the semi-skilled, skilled, semi-skilled, they form one pair. Always try to identify the pairs. Any parajumble has two pairs or three pairs. So here, women migrants who are skilled, who are in the skilled category, and those in the semi-skilled or unskilled category, these two form one pair. Based on that, it should be FC. What is the fifth one? These sentences talk about migrant workers, women workers. These workers, demonstrative adjective. These workers are vulnerable to abuse and exploitation. Next one is A. And what is the last one? The onset of the COVID 19 pandemic has exacerbated the vulnerabilities. Vulnerable here already used. These two, one pair. Exacerbated, make something worse. So based on that, AE, one pair. Now where is E? Not the first one, the last one. You guys thought E is the first one. E is the last one. So DB one pair, FC one pair, AE one pair. On what basis? Skilled, semi-skilled or unskilled category. Category one pair. And vulnerable, vulnerabilities, related words, one pair. Easy that way. Now, phrasal verbs, a new pattern, what does it mean? You see a sentence with a blank and you have to choose. You have four options, phrasal verbs. You have to choose the correct phrasal verb. I hope you can. The money you spent. Why that Nagamaleshwari? What does it mean, that expression? I said you guys chose E as the first sentence, but unfortunately that is the last one. Aggravate the situation. Yes, of course. I hope you can account for the money you spent. Account for means answerable, or give the explanation. Account for your actions means what? Explain. Account for the money you spent means explain how you spend the money. It is not act on to, it is not bear away. That's a nice one. We always put the horse behind the cart. Bear out, not correct. Please go to the second one. Her story just does not responsible for or explain. Her story just does not what? A short sentence, but should not be that difficult. Question number two. Phrasal verbs or idioms, who is this Ganesh? You have to create your own themes, family related, work related, travel related. Create themes, then learn. That is one approach. You can also learn with the help of verbs, but I don't recommend this. Break, related phrasal verbs. Come, related phrasal verbs. Go, related phrasal verbs. Best approach, themes. Her story does not add up. No, no, bear up is not correct. Bear down is not correct. Bear through is not correct. Add up means it is not convincing. Her story just does not add up means whatever she says, it is not acceptable. It doesn't look credible. Not credible. Answer is the first option. It doesn't add up. What you say does not add up to your actions. So it is not acceptable. It is not credible. It is not convincing. Does not add up means not convincing. When the company is privatized, you should the opportunity and buy some shares. Go to the third one. This is easy, should not be a problem. Yes, avail yourself of. Avail is a reflexive verb. Remember reflexive verbs. Enjoy, absent, avail, avenge, revenge, pride. All these, if there is no object, then we have to use a reflexive pronoun. Yourself, reflexive pronoun. Very good. It is an easy one. When he fell off the horse, he he what? He was done for it, brought in, come round, blacked out. Go to the fourth one. No one has responded for question number four. Avail yourself of. Yes. Four. No, answer is the fourth one. Blackout. For that we also use pass out. Means become become unconscious. Unconscious. When he fell off the horse, he blacked out, he passed out, he became unconscious. Obviously, he becomes unconscious. When you fall off the horse, you become unconscious. Answer is the fourth option. For that, we also use he passed out. Passed out, blacked out, both mean the same. Become unconscious. Please go to question number five. The problem to a lack of money. The problem, blackout, become unconscious. What is the answer for the fifth one? Why it in the answer? Oh, it is there. Brought in it, come round. In that, I did not see it, to be very frank. Contextually, I thought then it should be he was done for it. Answer should be the previous question, question number four. He was done for it. Grammatically speaking, you cannot use other options. Thank you, Pritham. It is not the fourth option. It is the first option. I did not see the pronoun it. Yes, yes, it is a wrong combination, beyond any doubt. You cannot say blacked out it. As I said, I did not notice the pronoun it. It should be he was done for it. He was done for it means he stopped, he cannot continue with horse riding. He was trying to ride the horse. He was done for it means it was the end of that session. That's what it means. The problem boils down to a lack of money. Boiled down to means what? Comes down to the root cause, the actual reason. It boils down to something means the actual reason is this one. What is the actual reason of the problem? Lack of money. Here, answer is a first option, an important phrasal verb, boiled down to. This goes with meetings. Usually, meetings we use. What does it boil down to? Means what is the root? What is the basic problem? Now we have five idioms. Try to answer quickly. We are running out of time. The beleaguered means troubled. It's an important word. Do remember. Four out of five, very good. Then it is again two. Don't consider this two. Just ignore. Please ignore that second two. Nagamaleshwari. Good, I appreciate that. But just ignore. Nothing wrong with that expression. That is appropriate. What does it boil down to? Yes, yes, I have noticed Jyoti. Just ignore one, two. The beleaguered. Beleaguered means troubled. Politician was anxious to set the record straight. So, what is the answer? Give a speech, win party support, give a correct account. Answer is the third option. Very good. You guys got it right. Let us do quickly. We are running out of time. The alpha and omega of something. What does it mean? Please mention the question number. The alpha and omega means what? First one is a third option. What is the answer for the second one? Yes, beginning and end of something. It is not nowhere related, nothing to do with this context. Yes. The trail made a mockery of justice is an important one. Make a mockery of justice. They have given in bank exams many a time. SSC also. Make a mockery of justice. What does it mean? People mocked at the judge. Mock means ridicule. What is the meaning of the word mock? Ridicule. Based on that, you can answer. Yes, answer is the fourth option. The trail made, it should be trial, mockery of justice, not trail. This is the actual question, but the trial made a mockery of justice, made the system look ridiculous. Answer is the fourth option. A rule of the thumb, B is silent. A rule of the thumb means what? If one student answers, then I will talk about the answer four. Very good. Fourth option. No, no. A rough unit of measure for small lengths, not correct. A broadly accurate guide based on practice. Something based on practice, based on experience. We use rule of the thumb. It is not the fourth one. It is a second option. Fourth question number four. Second option is the answer. Yes, it is a second option. That's right. Let us go to the last one. You will succeed if you follow my advice to the letter. Follow advice to the letter. Follow something to the letter. What does it mean? About writing letters, written in the letters, in every detail, very thoughtfully. No one has, no, no. Answer is the third option, in every detail. In every detail. Third option. Try to answer. I could not get 10 words, only 9 words, but some of these are important. Try to answer quickly. Pledge means what? It is a verb. Outrun, verb. Ambitious, adjective. I'm saving time. Sherpa, noun. Peak could be a verb, could be a noun. Lag behind, phrasal verb. Ramp up, phrasal verb. Tall order, idiom. Beacon, noun. So pledge means what? Commit by a solemn promise. Yes, C is the answer. Outrun, run faster. Please go to the second one. Run faster or further. Answer is F. Ambitious, adjective. Having a strong determination to succeed. It is H. Ambitious youth. Sherpa, diplomat or civil servant. A new meaning we have got for the first time. Peak, easy to answer. The highest point. Lag behind, move at a slower pace. B. Ramp up, we have got many a time. Increase sharply, usually it goes with production or effort. Answer is E. Tall order, idiomatic expression, something difficult to achieve. So answer is I. Beacon, guiding or warning signal, usually light or fire. Here answer is G. That's very good. These are the words. Try to pledge. You all must be knowing outrun, easy, sherpa, an important word. And ramp up, important because it's a phrasal verb. Tall order, important, it's an idiom. Beacon, a new word you got to remember. Lag behind, again, a phrasal verb, important. That's all for today. And before I wind up the session, there is no session tomorrow. Wish you all a very happy Diwali. Enjoy the festival. Forget about English. Forget about the Hindu. Just enjoy the festival. I will see you guys day after tomorrow. Have a nice day. Thank you very much. Do remember to subscribe and share. Join the Telegram group. All that you have to do, click on the link. After the session, I'll provide the PDF.